lower section of the 29 lane cut would be here.
Okay, so we're gonna jump into the flank. I should have asked her, what is that? Flank, right? Okay, Marcus, well, before we cut anything, once it's cleaned up, one of the things you can do, and I've seen done and have done, again, you can make up a stuffing. I've seen it done with a cream cheese base and some other things, or a breaded stuffing. Put that inside here, roll that up, tie it off. So you run some strings around it this way, cut between those strings, lay it down. Beautiful, beautiful piece of meat that you've upgraded. Or, while he's working on that, I don't want to confuse you, but it will take a minute for it. Okay, well, Kevin, what other cuts are you using out of the flank, or what other suggestions are you getting?
Yeah, the flank is quintessentially the #1 item for London Royal. Carving station application is fantastic. When I was growing up as a young Newman, that was even good. When Dad brought flank steak home, something was going right, and he would just put that on the grill and then slice it on a bias and give us all like little almost fajita cuts.
Yeah, you can see, maybe you can see, can you see the lines in that, the muscle striations? Anyway, there are some heavy striations running through that. So when you cut it, you're going to want to cut it on the bias, on a little slant, thinner cut. Great to grill that off, slice it thin, put it on a salad. Great piece of meat. What else have you seen done with it, Kevin?
Well, a lot like some of the other cuts, it's incredibly versatile. I really like the idea on the salads. That's a great salad item. And carving stations. I remember being in Vegas a few years ago at one of the highest end hotels, and they had the flank steak on the grill, or on the carving station. I asked him how that was doing. He goes, well, we buy about 1,000 pounds a day, so it's going pretty good. So catering, great cut right there.
So what? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and great point. You saw that grain.
Very well. Yeah. Okay. What's this piece? Skirt. Inside or outside? Inside skirt steak. Okay. Kevin, what are you putting that out as?
Generally, skirt steak anywhere has gotten real expensive, so you're looking at, if you want to portion it, about 7 or 8 or 10 ounces, you're looking at something that's like 11 or 12 or even maybe $13 a pound. As a subprimal, not very fun to clean it. Even as a boxed beef item now, it's come up to about $7 a pound. Is that right, Deborah? You sell quite a bit of skirt steak. Unique item that we have, you guys, is the John Soul skirt steak because it's grill ready. And they're able to lock in that price point for us. So we sell a ton of that John Soul skirt steak, quite a bit. Yeah, Neil?
Is that the hanger?
No, I'm glad you bring that up because it comes from the plate, the same subprimal. But we didn't bring a hanger today, but it does have a similar effect. The skirt steak is a diaphragm muscle that helps the cattle's ribcage expand and contract. It has a lot of iron as a result of that. It does a lot of work. It's very almost kind of metallic taste to some people. Very true to Hispanic or Latin cuisine. They love skirt steak in those regions of the world. Skirt steak's very tender and cooked right. Not a very high yielding item when it comes off the animal fat on. You're always going to generally see peeled outside skirt steak out there. And in this building, it's the John Soul, actually inside skirt steak that we really hit home runs with. Looks a lot like the flat, bottom sirloin flat meat that you remember.
Okay, so you can buy that just as it was with a little bit of silver skin and trim on it, or you guys are doing this where you take it further, right?
Steaks work well.
Okay, you cut it into steaks, you sell it whole like that. Okay.
All right, moving through the plate.
On into the plate. Are you guys cutting, are you calling this flat or flat meat or?
No, actually, we're calling that boneless chuck short rib.
Okay, so boneless chuck short rib. I'll let you go ahead and prep that. First, you can kind of see how it fans out. Looks almost like a catcher's mitt. Okay, that has got some great marbling. You'll see better as we get it cut.
Probably the most misunderstood cut for those of us as TMs in food service is we never really get what short rib is. Boneless chuck short rib, which is coming up near the bones in the rib cage that are smaller. And you know how our rib cage gets larger as it expands out. These are coming from the underside of the chuck. And it is short rib, but it's chuck short rib. It's coming from the first 3 to 5 bones. And then we have rib short rib, which is coming from 5 through 7 or 8. We're going to look at that in a minute. What's the best application? Raise your hand on this side. I'm working this other. Joe, I'm just going to call on you. What would you as a chef do with short rib? Braising. That's about all you really see. Yeah, great question. What does braising mean, Joe? Slow cook with a liquid? Absolutely right. So we usually will sell this. You guys sell a lot of it as certified ASB chuck short rib in a 60-pound box. It's got that freaky description, 5 bags with 2 pieces that weigh 1.5 pounds. You guys see that? Can you grill short rib, boneless? Can you cut a steak off and grill it? Nah. It's going to bite you back. Let's try to bite it.
Okay. Not quite as heavy a marbling in that one as I've seen, but like you say, braise it off, that's going to eat really well. Okay.
So Marty and Marcus have worked their way through the boneless chuck short rib. In this building, if you go to bone-in short rib, it's going to come from the rib, bones 5, 6, and 7, and it is rib short rib, and it is 3 bones. Show them what that looks like before you separate it. Did you already separate the 3 bones?
Nope.
This is the one that's the most confusing to us because we're like, what's Korean short rib? What's 1 bone short rib? What's 3 bone short rib? What's quarter-inch short rib? What's the cut instructions? I'm just so confused. I'm glad Marquis not here. That guy's called me 97 times in the last year asking the same questions about bone and short rib.
So, like you said, lots of different cuts you can take off this piece. I've got a restaurant now that is taking that whole thing, smoking it, finishing it on a mesquite grill, glazed. It's decadent. I mean, that is just incredible.
Give us a front view and show the 3 bones, almost like, I like to say, like about 3 cat's eyes looking at you. Yeah, Brad?
So, just to understand the different sections of the plate, so there's the chuck short rib, then there's the rib short rib?
Yeah, and it may not necessarily be important for us to remember the plate, but when we're talking about short rib, if it's coming from the smaller bones or up near the corner where the rib cage comes together, that's going to be chuck short rib. And then if it's coming from some of the larger bones, as you're working your way through the cattle to the rib section, we're working down here, Brad. So I'm kind of like working with chuck short rib here and then rib short rib here. Really kind of off concept for us, I get that. Notice if Marty would show us how the bones kind of flew out or trumpet out from one end to the other, where they're getting
Narrower up here, further apart down here, fanning.
So for a certified ASB hat, what is Korean short rib, and describe what it is with what Marty's got in his hands, anyway? 3 bone, I'll take that, work with me on that.
Janice has got it. Janice has
We got
got
a
it.
2-part, yeah, we got 3 bone, that's correct. Janice, what did you say?
Cut across at an inch.
Bam, that's it, boom. Good job, Janice.
So you're taking a cross section of this, right?
Usually about a 1/4 inch thick, Marcus, or a 1/2 inch thick. Marcus, why don't you show us what else you can do with that short plate? So we can put it on a bandsaw, as Janice and Neil just told us, and cut it 1/4 inch thick across. Marcus has just seamed out one, and you got the Fred Flintstone. I like to call that the Fred Flintstone.
I'll have to, if any of you want to see, I've got a picture of that hanging on
French
that
one down
plate.
front.
Oh my goodness.
So we have several cuts. We have boneless short rib.
What's that?
In your inspiration series, we cut little squares. We call them the Santa Fe Braisons. You can have that for lunch today. We create the Solana short rib, which is the French hand-tied and wrapped short rib ossobuco, which Marcus might try to accomplish
He's
here.
going to work on it there.
Okay.
Okay? So you can also, like Janice said, you can cut them thinner, and then you're going to have your Korean style, or a little longer, and you're calling those what, Kevin?
The Solana short rib.
Solana. Okay, so you got a short rib about that long.
Does anybody ever serve that whole thing?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was talking about, this restaurant that cooks off the whole 3 bones, just like it is. Then they can cut it into some smaller portions. They put that on a plate with some sweet potato fries and
Shut my mouth.
that's it.
See what Marty's doing? Creating a menu item and building an invoice from the center of the plate out, controlling an account and a route.
Okay? I've seen this where they peeled off and then cut this down and wrap it around, tie it on the bottom, osabuco. Gorgeous. Really nice piece, especially during winter time here. Very good, thank you.
So any questions on the short rib complex, whether it be a boneless chuck short rib or a 3-bone rib short rib? Okay. So I think the only thing we have left is the brisket. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I want to just say before we go, back to that round complex, we actually only used one muscle out of that. There's
Big one.
2 other muscles. Bottom round flat comes off the other side of that inside, so they would just meet each other on the flat side. Then the eye of round comes out of that piece as well, and it used to be what they called, any of you that are old timers in here might remember the gooseneck round, right? That was that whole piece, bottom and inside round together, as well as that eye of round still connected. That bottom round flat, I don't know how much of that you sell here, but that's a great piece, another alternative for a carving station. Okay, what other cuts are you doing off that bottom round flat?
We are producing a lot of cooked roast beef out of the bottom round flat. Many of our stockyards and 1893 and CV roast beef items are made out of the bottom round flat. And as well, this is an item that's mostly sold boxed in and boxed out.
Yeah. Okay,
Nice utility item.
okay.
So raise your hand if you could tell me what a brisket is. Working this, a decal. What's the decal? Gabe?
It's the little connective tissue in between the sternum and where the pussy connects.
Hey, well, we're going to accept that. Gabe said it's a little connective seam of tissue that is where the sternum and the brisket connect. Why do I ask? Who knows what a decal is? Anybody want to take a shot at that? Lisa, say that again. All right, you want to pick a fight with somebody that's trying to hide from you? Just look at them like my dog looks at me when she's trying to understand me. She tilts her head. All these barbecue guys across the country say, I want my brisket with the decal on. It ain't happening. There is no decal on a brisket. They refer to the decal, what they think is the point. Show us where that point is, Marty.
Okay, so on this brisket, if you'll hold that up, I'll show them different, then maybe turn it this way. So this bottom piece, which has a big seam of fat in it, a lot fattier or marbling running through it, is the point. This end, cleaned up, would be your flat.
So again, similar in kind of what's happening across all these subprimals, this is a 2-muscle subprimal. And Marcus, if you would show us the separation along the natural seam of the point, also known as the nose and the flap. The decal, as Gabe explained to us, is removed from the packer. It's a really tough, inedible piece of meat that doesn't come available. And unless your barbecue guy is breaking down 4 quarters, his brisket does not have a decal. So when anybody says to you, I want the decal, just know in the back of your mind who's talking about the nose or the point, which is that kind of fatty, bulbous piece at the front or muscle at the front, which is where you get your great barbecue chopped beef. It's really got a lot of fat and marbling in there. And Marcus is pulling that apart at the natural seam, if you can see up on the screen, if not on the table. And then the first cut, or the flat, which is great for maybe making your shingle sliced brisket. This is great cut for making corned beef brisket and barbecue brisket. And those are generally the 2 avenues that this subprimal is going to travel down in the food service. Pastrami is a great one too. Great call, Benny. Pastrami and brisket go together quite well as well.
This other side, that point, again, it's got a little more defined grain to it. It's also got more seam fat. It's also got more marbling fat in it. I've seen restaurants who do a brisket sandwich and they'll ask you, do you want yours marbled or lean? And so they're using the marbled for that, with that point side. great sandwich, or for those who like a little leaner, don't want so much fat or that fat feel in their mouth, we'll go with the flat piece for the lean.
Yep, or often referred to as the first cut.
Yeah.
Okay, so, got about 6 minutes to go. Any questions so far or thoughts? It's a lot that we've taken in. So, Barb, did you want to take it from here for a moment?
Let me just say too, on that brisket, you can buy it whole in the bag, or you can buy it, I don't know if you guys are doing separation.
We did, we have a repack on it, and we actually carry the first cut flat separated as well.
Very good, sorry, Barb. Jump in.
No worries. All of you who have less than a year with U.S. Food, see Diego stand up.
Don't be shy, this could be a good thing.
Stand up, Neil.
All right, Kevin, you're the judge. I want one of you to stand forward and give us the 10 specs. You can't bring anything with you.
That's enough. Don't be shy, come on. How about if you do 5? Who can do 5?
There's one, we got a volunteer
No,
here.
he's been here a lot
Oh.
longer.
And not looking at the back of the sales map, but coming up here in front of everybody else and you're giving us the 10 specs.
10 to 16.
You gotta stand up here, come up here, please.
And it doesn't have to be a year.
Doesn't have to be in order.
Anyone do it?
Come
There's
on.
one.
Wow, stunning.
All right, Kevin, you're judging.
All right, take your time,
So
son.
see if I get more than 2 out of me here.
Okay,
1,000-pound carcass weight, or under 1,000-pound carcass weight.
yep.
Maturity, which is 9 to 30 months.
Excellent.
Okay, now I'm getting nervous.
It's all right, think about the ribeye. What are we looking for?
Marbling, yes. Fine, not coarse.
Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
and you've got another marbling one.
Marbling texture. What else?
You got another marbling one.
What type of marbling?
10 to 16 square inch plate.
Ribeye.
Sizing, consistency.
Okay.
1 inch thick.
No more than an inch
No
back
more
fat.
than inch fat.
You're halfway home, bro, come on.
What's the marbling spec?
Modest and moderate.
Oh, nice.
What about the
Listen up, guys.
sizing? We already talked a couple sizing specs.
What excludes Brahman cattle? Yeah, don't hold you dance, right? I'll give you that, you got 7.
How about, well, go ahead.
No, after you, please.
What, what eliminates dairy cattle? Holstein cattle?
The black.
No?
Well, that would eliminate it too.
Yeah, that's not a quality spec, that's a pre-qualifier. So, something about the muscle conformation. Remember, the dairy cattle can have really long, flat strip loin, or rib, or sirloin, and so we're looking for moderately thick or thicker muscling. So we have that nice, round, stocky, blocky cut.
So that's 8 right there. I might still qualify you on the path that you're on. There's a couple of visual specifications that a carcass will get eliminated if it demonstrates these visual characteristics.
Dark cutter, which is due to stress, kind of how I feel right now.
And you're almost there.
This glycogen is gone.
And what's the blood clots?
Almost. What else?
Yeah, rupture capillaries in the ribeye.
I'm gonna give you that. Ladies and gentlemen, Bart, he's been with the company less than a month.
You've got an admirer man who comes up here and
Your job, Simon. So I think we've rolled through all the 9 cell primals. I think we've covered the slide deck. We're going to have a 15-minute break here and then 2 breakups. But before you guys get up, I have a few things I want to say. As I looked at Brad Wazaki in the back of the room about 8 years ago, maybe 7 now. Brad, when I first became specialist, came up to me, and he probably didn't think I was going to last a minute, but he told me, a smart guy once told me, there's going to be 2 stacks of stuff on your desk. There's going to be a pile of work that you can control, and there's going to be a pile of paperwork that you can't control. What do you think is going to happen to the good stack if you focus on the shitty stack? And I said, wow, that's pretty good. So what I want to do is thank Brad for that piece of advice. I want to pass that same piece of advice on to all of us in this room. What we just learned today with Marty and Marv and Marcus goes in that stack of stuff that we can control. And tomorrow, as we hit the streets for business as usual, my mindset is to crush all competition, convert everybody over to center of the plate with US Foods, and control that center of the plate. That's what I can control. I can't control what's going on out there other than what I'm going to do. And if you guys follow me down that path, go get the center of the plate right now, utilize your brand, utilize your cut shop, and be proud about what you've done. This is our 10-year anniversary, and you guys, like I said earlier, they couldn't do it with what they had, so they wanted what you had. Let's show them why they wanted it. So I want to give a round of applause to Marcus, our stockholder. Marty and Rob are going to the breakouts with us, and we got an excellent prime rib and short rib buffet being prepared by Josh and Chef Matt and Mike Herskowitz. So with that, go ahead, stretch your leg, and thank you so much. You guys did awesome.
Hey guys, let me just walk you through real quick. You've all got this sheet that was on your table. So this tells you where to be. This shows what the breakout rotation is going to be. There's 2 breakouts over in the garden ballrooms. We'll start in about 15 minutes. When you're done with that, you come back to this room for the vendor fair. So you know what that means? That means you can't leave your stuff in this room because we got to turn it over for the vendor fair. I know you love that. Also, for the vendor fair, take this sheet with you because there are questions on this sheet that you can go around and you will ask the vendors these questions and learn about the products. Remember, who remembers the KIP quizzes? Anybody remember that? Been here for a while? So yeah, we're bringing the KIP back. Knowledge is power. So we'll be doing a KIP. So after the vendor fair, then you'll actually go back into the small ballrooms over there, and we're going to have some more stuff, including paying you guys some money. All right? So take your sheet with you, keep it with you at all times. And remember, Mark Davidson, can you leave your stuff in here? Mark? No, you cannot. All right. Thanks, guys.
I'll get you something.